Okay, so you really are pretty connected to the Pacific then. I mean, so you're working with the National Weather Service in
Yes,
that position?
yeah, I'm the state of Hawaii Sky One Ham coordinator, so I work with all the as many hams and encourage them to get the Sky One training so they can be weather spotters. But when we activate, like we did last two tropical cyclone, uh, it's open to anybody that want to hams out on the radio can report what's happening in the country. So what we do is we support the National Weather Service with all their radars and whatever ground truth. So what the eyes and ears people, Sky One weather spotters see to verify what their radars are showing to them. So
You're the eyes on the ground.
yeah, eyes on the ground, right?
And so, tell us, we've got this event coming up, and you want all the amateur radio operators to know about this.
Right. We want them to participate. It's not open to only ARES, Amateur Radio Emergency Service members, but it's open to all amateur radio, whether you're with state RACES, Department of Emergency Management RACES, Sky One, you're with the Hawaii State VOAD, like Red Cross have amateur radio, so the Salvation Army have amateur radio, also the HealthCom, they support the hospitals. Any amateur radio, whether you're associated with an organization or not, to participate. Use your equipment in case of emergency practice. And we encourage them to go on using not the electrical power, but to use batteries, generators, solar panels, alternate forms of power to operate their radio.
Like you would in a disaster.
Yes, that's why. So we had the ARRL section manager, Oscar Resto, from Puerto Rico. He spent 2 weeks here, and one of the things we learned from him is that they use simplex VHF radio to communicate. That's one of the things we're going to be using, simplex radio to radio communication, and also the idea of tracking damages on a map. So we want to simulate reports of damages throughout the state, and we put it on an incident map where the damages are for each island.
And so tell us about this simulated emergency test that you'll be doing in October. Many folks may not know that we have so many radio operators out there. I mean, you're telling me we have like 3,700 licensed operators?
Yes, approximately. There's a lot of radio operators that are not that active. They're, I call them ham on the wall. They show their license, but they're not active. But what we learned from Oscar also, that about 5% of his radio operators, he had about 3,700 in Puerto Rico, that only 5% are able to perform MCOM duties because they've become survivors as well, or they'll be affected by the storm. So though we have 37, we have maybe about, let's say, 200, are involved in MCOM.
What is MCOM for folks who might not?
Emergency communication. MCOM, emergency communication. Out of the 2,000 maybe, or 200, maybe only 5% are able to perform because the gear, the home got destroyed, the antennas get destroyed because the homes are destroyed. They have whatever emergency power they have cannot operate because they got destroyed. And so that's why we got to look at as many hams, be prepared that they can come up when there's a catastrophic disaster and be able to provide communication for the community.
So what will they need to know if they want to participate in this?
Well, we'll be on the second Saturday of October, and it's from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. It's only 3 hours, short time. And to work with other hams in there, and we're working with the district emergency coordinators. I have 9 of them throughout the state, and they are also trying to get the word out to the hams and the ARES members in their districts to get the word out. This is what I'm going to be doing, etc. And just get the word out on the nets, HF nets, on the repeater nets that I held almost every day, etc. To encourage hams to come up and on a simplex frequency that's going to be utilized in their district.
So really this is all about what can we learn from Puerto Rico and how can we be better prepared or more resilient?
As MCOM radio operators, because what in the scenario is a Category 4 hurricane, that is moving from the south, and almost what happened with was that Hurricane Lane. It came from the south, it went to the west of Hawaiian Islands, but this scenario will make it closer along the western shoreline of all the Hawaiian Islands, and it's affecting all power, loss of power, worst case scenario, affecting all counties, all islands, no power, no internet, therefore no water, no ATM, no banking, no pumping of gas, whatever. Roads are either blocked or destroyed along the shoreline, like we have Cam Highway, we have Cononelli Highway. They're all shoreline. Farrington Highway going to Waianae can be inundated by the storm surge, debris, trees falling on the highways, like for example in Likelike, Pali. And we have trees already falling when we had Lane.
That's
and
right.
That was just a tropical
It's minor.
storm, minor. No, this is a Category 4 hurricane looking at about 150 miles an hour. So mudslides, landslide, rock slides, whatever.
Very real situations
Yeah.
that we could be faced with.
And we've had incidents where we've had tropic storm or more tropic storm that happened to us recently, that we had mudslides, landslides, trees falling, blocking the roads. Imagine a Category 4, I'm not saying a Category 5 hurricane, but a Category 4 hurricane, which is more likely. And we've had a Category 4 hurricane, but downgraded to a tropical storm.
We're lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
And so, I guess explain to listeners how important ham operators are when, let's say, a broadcaster goes down.
What happened, and you can relate to what happened in Puerto Rico, ham radio operators was utilized for 6 long weeks, which is very unusual. Normally they're for 2 weeks, 3 weeks at the most, because the infrastructure were able to be, the power were able to come back up, telephones, commercial, radio, first responder communication. But in Puerto Rico's situation, it was 6 long weeks. So if something similar happened here, it won't be 6 long weeks, or it could, depending on how bad the storm is and the power lines that could be affected, etc. So the amateur radio provide the communication where what's happening in their communities, letting the county EOCs, like for Oahu, Department of Emergency Management, City County of Honolulu, what's happening out there in their community, where the roads are blocked, bridges are destroyed, highways are destroyed.
So you're the boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground, that because first responder communication may fail also. The fortunate thing about amateur radio, we have so many different modes and frequencies that we can use. We can have VHF, UHF, we have digital, we have analog, we have HF. And HF, we have different bands. We use mostly 40 meters and 80 meters, and we can use 60 meters. So we're not set to one frequency or a few frequencies like the first responders. We can move to different modes of communication, as well as so we can send email through radio frequency, RF. Just like regular email through the internet, we can do that through WinLink.
And I'm just curious now, as far as the reach across all the islands, do we have more ham operators operating on certain islands than others?
Well, most of the hams are located on Oahu. The population is bigger. Then we have another group is the Big Island. The island is big. The population is probably the next one. Maui, and then Kauai is the smallest, but Kauai is organized. They learn from Iniki. So there's a group of emergency communication people that been practicing working with the Kauai, used to be Civil Defense Agencies, now Kauai Emergency Management Agency. They changed the name early this year.
And you were with Civil Defense, State Civil Defense before?
Right, from year 2000 to 2011.
Any takeaway from your experience, and then now knowing maybe how vital radio ham operators are?
Yes, when I was an employee, I was really concerned with state agencies. They depend so much on cell phone, landline, and internet. I asked them, and I was in operation after 3 years in training branch. I said, how are you going to communicate? Oh, we're going to buy iridium phones, satellite phones. And that's one thing we learned from Oscar. there's not enough bandwidth. They had satellite phones, but what happened is they brought a lot of additional satellite phones. It jammed up, they couldn't get to the satellites, so they couldn't communicate. So people think that they can communicate through satellite, yeah, but people are going to be using the bandwidth and therefore they won't be able to get communication. And that was a big problem according to Oscar. So what it is I learned from, you gotta have an amateur radio is when all else fail. That's the model.
Right, your backup.
We're the backup,
The
of the
backup.
backup.
Yeah.
And we have to incorporate amateur radio in all our exercises so that when the time comes, and hopefully it won't, that we're prepared and they know the role of what amateur radio can provide. And this coming now on the other side. I was emergency management on the other side. Now I'm from the other side. We need to incorporate more amateur radio in our exercise, and also our state agencies and also county departments. You cannot use your present communication when the catastrophic event occurs. It will fail.
Right, so people out there in the community who have radios, they should get involved in this event coming up.
Right, and you don't think, the other thing is getting our FCC license as a ham radio operator. We provide emergency communication when the time comes. From the emergency management point of view, amateur radio is free labor. We cannot charge for our labor. We provide free equipment. We maintain our equipment. So when the time comes, we know our equipment, we can use it. So this is a resources that all county and state emergency management should take advantage of. Yes, some of them are very incorporated, like Department of Emergency Management. I'm a member of the DEM Races group, as well as with HIEMA with state races. So they support amateur radio, which is good.
Races is what?
Radio's Amateur Civil Emergency Service. It's sponsored by FEMA for emergency management agencies to have amateur radio.
Okay, basic but vital.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me to be here.
Well, we need to get the word out. You
Yes.
folks serve a vital need. There's a vital need for your services in the community, but thank you.